welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie news and reviews. I'm not going to do it again. I had something in my throat.
What'd you do, like choke on your own vomit?
I just all of a sudden had like something in my throat. It was like, don't cough, make it through the intro. Nope.
Oh, that's the worst when I have somebody like calling the theorem on the phone. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm your host, the man who's not a savant in any way, Garrett Ray.
No, he's just an idiot.
Joining me. He's not a cat person. Don't you dare say he is.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
It's Andy Delia.
Thank you. I'm a dog person. I got two at home.
I was sitting there for a second when I paused. I was like, I could just cut this out, but then I realized the music was still fading out in the back. I'm like, no, it's going to sound wrong. Oh, boy. All right. Well, if you've never joined us before, basically, here's what this show is. Right up front, we're going to do a spoiler-free review of this week's movie. You already know what it is because it's in the title. Yeah. And then we will let you know when we get into spoilers. So if you're trying to decide if you want to see the movie, we'll do spoiler-free first so you can decide, and then you can come back for the spoiler section later. So,
and then we have our own version of movie news, which is much more exciting than the actual movie news.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's mostly roasting giant corporations for basically being monkeys in suits on a trampoline trying to throw darts at a board. Going, that's the fall schedule.
I will never live that remark down.
I don't think you should have to live it down. It was fantastic.
That's a good one.
It was fantastic.
Well, sometimes the release schedule for movies looks like that.
It really does. You know, like there are definitely times where we're looking at these companies and they're saying, here's what we've got coming up and what we've canceled and what we're not talking about anymore. And we're just like, do you throw your own dung or do you eat it? I'm trying to figure out exactly where you are on the dung interactions sphere because like your spectrum is what I meant to say. But like speaking of being on the spectrum, The Accountant Squared. That's what we watched this week.
Didn't I tell you last night to get over it?
Yeah, it was. That's why I brought that up now because last night. So The Accountant 2 is the movie, but it comes up and it says The Accountant. And then it has the 2 as a superscript, which means squared in math.
Right, it does.
And,
you're right.
And I turned to Jessica and I said, this is The Accountant Squared? Did I miss 2 of these movies? Are we on number 4 now? And she laughed and then she turned to you and you went, what? And she said what I said. And I'm just trying to bond with my friend Jessica. You know, it's just a moment between her and me. I'm just trying to have a good time, build a little repertoire over some goofy little joke. And I just hear Andy go, tell him to get over it. It's just like...
Yeah, and I think the whole theater heard me too, which was even funnier.
Oh, goodness. It's Mystery Science Theater 3000 by accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this week we are talking about the follow-up to The Accountant from 2016. Yes. So quite
8 years.
Quite a gap between these two.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck stars in this with Jon Berthal, Cynthia Edai-Robinson. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Cynthia. Daniel Pineda and J.K. Simmons. Technically,
yep. Most everybody, like the principals from the first film are returning in the second one.
Yes. Yeah. Again, directed by Davin O'Connor and written by Bill Dubuque, who were the director-writer combo on the first one as well. So all your favorites are back. The cinematographer is Seamus McGarvey, and I just wanted to say that because I like his name.
Seamus.
I think it's a cool, I'm Seamus McGarvey. It's really good.
Does he come on set and like when he's doing photography? That's no ordinary shot. This is the wide angle.
I wonder if he ever gets mad at all the assistant camera people, if he walks away after he yells at him, he's like, man, shame us, huh? That's so terrible.
That's anyway, a good bad joke.
So this cinematographer though, he has Bad Times at the El Royale, which from all accounts that I've heard, actually very good looking movie.
I hate that movie.
I know you hate it, but how's the cinematography?
It's okay.
Okay, yeah, Greatest Showman. He did the cinematography on Life. And he was also the cinematographer on the first Accountant. So whole creative team came back, it seems. He also... 50 Shades of Grey. Well, let's never talk about Seamus again. Speaking of shame.
Hey, you can't, you guys got to eat.
That's true, but, I don't know if I could eat while experiencing that movie.
The question is, did he do the first one, the second one, and the third one?
No, I believe he just did the first one.
Oh, well, then he was smart. So
yeah, he got out. Got the paycheck, walked away.
Right.
Yeah, because
on to the next one.
I think the budgets were cut severely for the second and third one, and they filmed them back to back or something like that.
Who cares?
And I can't imagine spending 6 months working entirely on
Jessica
50
made me
Shades of
watch
Grey.
all 3 of those.
She
too.
did?
Yeah, she did.
Because of the love story, or
Yeah.
what love?
Well, because
story?
like we watched the first and the second one at home, and then she made me go to a theater to go see the third one, and I was sitting there looking at my watch the whole time, going, "When the heck is this over?"
But you have made her watch all of the Killer Tomatoes from Outer Space.
No, I had
no.
just Repo Man. That's the one.
okay.
Like, her hatred is solely for that film lately. Meanwhile, like I love that film.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, we always start with your opinions, Andy. So should I just give a quick rundown of the synopsis?
Sure.
Essentially, Ben Affleck's back. He's real stilted, and his brother has to come help him and Cynthia's character, Mary Beth Medina, to solve a mystery of a missing family because J.K. Simmons was trying to find them, and then he
was murdered.
Yeah, spoilers for the first 5 minutes, but yeah, it's fine.
It's not really a spoiler.
that's why I
that was
said-
even in the trailer.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I never saw the trailer for this.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler.
And I
Garrett.
forgot J.K. Simmons was in the first one.
Yeah.
So-
No, and he has a interesting story for me about I saw the first one when it first came out, and I didn't like it at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hated it. And it had to have been for either the person I was with or the mood that I was in, because I watched it on my tablet again, giving it a shot because I knew the second one coming out when I was flying over to Vegas a couple weeks ago. And I actually really, really enjoyed it the second time I watched it.
I saw it for the first time maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was just on, I don't remember if it was Netflix or HBO Max or whatever, but I pulled it up and I thought it was a really kind of, and like, is it the most groundbreaking film of our time? No, but I had fun with it, and I think that Ben Affleck's performance in that is just odd enough that it's like compelling almost. Anna Kendrick's good in it.
She's the good comic relief in the first one.
Yes.
Whereas Jon Berthal is the good comic relief in the second one.
This is definitely a buddy movie more. The first one was more of a comic relief, but it's kind of a lone wolf sort of story, and this is not that.
And it was kind of like a twist too that Jon Berthal turned out to be Ben Affleck's brother, which if you paid attention, you kind of saw it coming.
Was that in the first one?
Yeah. But it was kind of predictable in that respect.
Sure.
But this one they kind of moved past it, and wisely enough, like the interjections of humor in this one make it a little bit more lighter than the first one was. The first one's kind of a dark film.
Yeah, this one seemed it's quite a tonal shift. It felt
right, and it had a lot more fun. So
yeah.
Going back to our initials, since we like going down the rabbit hole on this show. So Garrett's asking me if I thought it was good, great, or terrible. Yes. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also am going to land in the good camp. I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
There's don't take your kids to it, a lot of swearing and blood and whatever. But
there's not.
Oh, there is one scene where Jon Bernthal's whole monologue is just mother effer.
No, I
like
was saying blood-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Language is the main reason I got the R.
It's definitely not the most gory thing I've ever seen. I was just
Sinners
throwing it out
takes
there.
that
It's like
title this year.
Yeah, it does. Just by bucket volume. But that being said, it's got a lot of language. You can definitely expect that, and that's why I got the R rating. And so if that's something that you're thinking about taking someone younger to, then hey, just be aware of it.
Honestly, I wouldn't have much reservations about taking Drew to see this. Yeah, other than the fact that he won't understand it.
Sure. Yeah. I'm still not sure I understand some parts of it. I think there's a part of it. There's a part of the overall story that I, on one hand, feel is kind of disconnected in a way, but it all comes together in the end. But it's also, I'm not sure if it feels focused in the first part.
It does stray off the path a little bit.
Yeah, but those things are still connected. Like, they're not random or anything like that. So it is satisfying. But at the beginning, you're kind of like, well, which direction are we supposed to be running? Maybe that's just part of the nature of solving the puzzle.
I think when it focuses more on the brothers and like the personal relationships, especially the speed dating scene, is where it kind of
that was my other potential intro for you. Was like it's the man who optimized his dating profile.
That whole scene is hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
Like the people that ran the speed dating thing cornered him because he altered the algorithm.
Yes.
I was like, yes, you go.
You hacked our algorithm. I optimized my profile.
Yeah. It was very hard not to laugh during that. And that's where I said I think they realized making this one a little bit more lighthearted, but having the serious moments when it needed to be was definitely the right path to go with this film.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I think it's pretty well balanced in that regard.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely, like I said, it's a tonal shift from the first one, but it's not so far outside the ballpark that it strays into, God forbid, being a Paul Feig movie. Whatever.
Or even worse, Eli Roth.
Hack.
Thank you.
So it's well balanced in that way, and I enjoyed the serious moments as much as I enjoyed the comedic relief moments. I do think for me the best parts of the movie are absolutely just Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal talking on top of an Airstream, and then the bar scene that happens after that. Like those are my favorite parts of this movie. And the action's solid. The action's good. The hand-to-hand combat looks good. It's well choreographed.
The whole shootout closer to the end in Juarez is really well choreographed, I thought.
And it's well, like you can understand the geometry of the scene most of the time. It's not one of those ones that's just cutting around like 14 cuts of Liam Neeson going over a chain link fence. Taken 3.
See, I've never. Taken 3 was the one I didn't see. I saw the first and the second one. I never saw the third one.
It's a movie. Anyway, so
it's not good.
I don't know if it's bad, but it's kind of just like, this is Taken again.
I was waiting, like when we first saw stuff for Naked Gun, I was waiting for the joke on that would be the Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad, aka Taken 4.
They're absolutely going to do something with that.
I hope so.
I hope beyond hope that there is a thing where it takes 14 cuts for him to get over a fence. That's all. Akiva, go reshoot that if you haven't shot that scene, please.
Yeah, put it. You still got time. Doesn't come out till August 1st.
I know you're listening. No,
right.
It's just you and me listening in our own headphones mostly.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a solid buddy cop action film sort of thing.
Yeah.
And also kind of a weirdly touching story in a way. But it's not perfect. It definitely has, I think, some.
It like I said, it does lose sight. It's almost kind of like if you and I made a movie and the rabbit holes that we would go down.
Yeah, and didn't do any editing.
Yeah. That's honestly that's not like my only complaint for it, and I don't think it's really a complaint because the story still does go along. I don't get bored with it.
Yes.
I'm still engaged by just watching the actions of the characters, even if it's not focused solely on the main gist of the story. Like there's other things going on. But it's not boring.
Yeah, and I think enough of it is well written it's good. But I do think
it's fun.
There is one major weak point.
Okay.
For that I would like to. We'll get into it a little bit more in spoilers.
Well,
but
at the end in Juarez, where Jon Berthal gets like 6 shots and he's still walking around.
Okay, I have 2 major problems.
That's not really a spoiler, though.
No.
You're expecting.
He's in a gunfight. He's going to get shot.
So he's going to get shot.
But no, Mary Beth Medina, Cynthia Addai Robinson, I'm sorry, but her dialogue, and I don't know if it's the script or performance, but it feels so robotic almost.
I think it's just her because she's almost the same way in the first one.
Yeah.
So
but
the question
also,
is,
I was thinking about the story that they give her and the little things they try to give her that's a character thing with the chairs, and it's it's like it's so over the top, it just felt like everything else was operating at a higher level than her personal storyline. From a writing standpoint.
Okay.
Because the whole
I'd agree with that.
I can't find an office chair I like kind of thing. This is not really a spoiler, but
that whole thing was kind of like, who cares?
Because I maybe it's not the chair. Maybe I just don't think I've earned it. Like that, you're saying the subtext. You can't just say the subtext. You're supposed to say the text, and the subtext is underneath it. And and there's no real. There's no real resolution to that between her and Chris, because he's like, yes, I know, I put you there, and this is something that like should have been a character development between them, but she just kind of goes off on her own and leaves them and is like, you know what, actually I'll lie to get this information and hold up this card and get this information from this doctor. And it's like, yeah, okay. So I'm getting into spoilers.
That moment in the film too, I was kind of like, so you just chastise Ben Affleck and Jon Berthal for their tactics on how they're doing things.
Yeah.
But you just did the same thing, so you're no better than they are.
Yeah, it's although legally speaking, it's not illegal for cops to lie to get you to confess to something.
That's true.
So, So, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a good. I had a fun time. All of the flaws that I did look at and was like, why
just you being picky.
It's not. It's called standards, Andy, and you should develop some. I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. That sounded really harsh.
Yeah, considering some of the things that I've seen,
I'm sorry.
You're questioning my moral high ground on this, really?
Not moral high ground.
Well, I have no moral high ground. Yeah, well, I've seen some bad and just things that I'm. Well,
don't worry.
I would like to say that I'm ashamed of, but I'm not.
Yeah, don't worry. I've got some news later about how I'm going to violate my own standards in the next couple months.
You're going to watch Toxic Avenger with me?
Well, that one too, I guess. But
yes,
I got other news.
Welcome to the dark side.
Okay, so we're both giving it a good.
Yeah,
I'd say check
definitely.
it out if you're at all interested in it. Or you can't decide what to go see, and you're just looking for a fun kind of popcorn flick.
Film. Yeah,
this is
definitely.
It. Yeah.
This is honestly the best thing I've seen Ben Affleck do in a while.
Agreed. His weird way of, like, his intonation and is kind of, and I say weird in that it's weird for to see Ben Affleck not being suave.
Right?
It's such an interesting
because he's better than, like, as much as I like the movie The Last Duel, Ridley Scott film. Mm-hmm. His part in that is the worst part of the film.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. And so seeing him do something like this, that, him being autistic and on the spectrum, it just kind of works.
Yeah. It's weirdly comfortable for him.
Yeah.
So, do you want to get to spoilers?
Yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Let's do spoilers. Okay, so first off, to talk about the speed dating scene, obviously Chris is trying to develop some sort of connection, and I distinctly remember watching him try to talk to these girls about how great it is that you can claim this depreciation on your tax return, and that's based on the information he's gathered about women like stability and these things, and so he's trying to use that. I just leaned over to Hannah as he's talking to these women. You could see their eyes just like the fire dying.
Well, the one woman was falling asleep.
The one woman was falling asleep. I leaned over to my wife and I was like, "It's me." and she just grabbed my hand and goes, "It's okay. You're acoustic."
Well, and I heard you when you said that too, and I had to shove a whole thing of popcorn in my mouth to keep from laughing.
The sad part is it's not that far off. I don't know. Like people, the whole small talk thing, and this is something that I've heard a lot of people who live with being somewhere on the spectrum. It's like the small talk thing. They don't get it. They want to talk about something they're interested in, or they want to talk about something real or whatever.
Honestly, that's true.
Yeah,
Drew's very in. A couple of the employees that I have that are like that too. That's how they operate, and that's what they're comfortable with. Like. So I already know those things, like going into the film, and it's interesting seeing that.
Yeah.
So whoever wrote the script kind of did the research on these things a little bit, but Jessica made a good point last night when we were driving home from this, that she hopes that people don't get a broad generalization of that from this film, that there is a lot more to it, and there is a lot more breakdown to this than what is shown in the film. Like, it's very glossed over, and it's very topical.
Yes.
There's a lot more to, and like, I know that from dealing with my son, that there's a lot more to autism and being on the spectrum than what's shown.
Right. And I think that was one of the things I was wondering about while we were watching it. It was like, I'm looking at this as someone who, I've worked kids camps, and I've worked with plenty of kids who are on the spectrum. And it's like, I've been around that enough that I I have an okay understanding of how to, communicate and
Right.
work with them. But at the same time, it's not as touchy a subject. I'm using finger quotes here for me as it would be for someone who has a family member. So I was wondering
Right.
about how you guys felt with Drew being on the spectrum and watching this. Does it feel like an okay representation for what it is, or is there a danger in representing it this way? I'm
The basics are there.
okay.
But it's not like they showed it a little bit more in the first film than they do in this film, because the first one starts out when they're children, and you see like the temper tantrum that like the whole scene at the beginning of the first one when the mother leaves, and he's freaking out and smashing stuff, and that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Because Drew has those moments too where he just kind of flies off the handle at no rhyme or reason to it. That just one thing will set him off. Like, I know we had that a couple of weeks ago. We wouldn't let him stay up. He wanted to stay up. We said no, and he had a massive meltdown.
Yeah.
And it's just part
Well,
of
that's totally understandable. You were being uncool as a dad, so I do the same.
Well, the problem he skirted around the night before by I'll let you stay up until 9:30, and then ends up being 10:30, and he's still playing around. So the next night it was like, nope, you are going to bed at 9:00, and he was not having it.
Yeah.
So there is some pros and cons to like what is represented in film, especially when it comes to this movie. But I would say the basics are there.
Okay.
I wish Jess was here with me to kind of explain it a little bit more. She's the expert on it more than I am.
Yeah. And because that's her job, right? Like that not to dox her, but she works a lot with kids in the school system.
Jessica's official title is she's a speech pathologist.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So she supervises a lot of what are called SLPs, speech language pathologists, and like she used to do classroom and therapy and work with kids. Now she's more in a supervisory role. So she understands these things a lot more than I do. And that's really where I depend on her to kind of explain it to me, because I'm still learning too.
Sure.
One as a parent, because, Isis kind of got dropped in my lap when we got married, and she was already in her teen years. And, starting to go through this now with Drew is a completely different ballgame.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Good kid, though.
Yeah.
Love him to death.
Yeah. Connoisseur of bad movies. He's even worse than me. Wait till he hears this. I'm going to get that look. Like,
we love you, Drew.
because I still get that. Dad, the Garfield movie was really good. Why don't you like it? Because it sucked. That's a horrible
How would
film.
you know? You slept through it. Anyway.
I didn't need to stay awake through it. That was the whole point.
Fair enough. But yeah, I liked I liked the mannerisms and stuff, and that they kept that consistent. Like I said, Ben Affleck's intonation is really just so interesting to watch, and the stuff that really kicks off this whole thing. It's pretty easy to kind of put together the puzzle pieces after.
When you get to about 3/4 of the way through the film, you really can kind of see where it's going.
Yeah. I had kind of guessed it, the missing mom being the assassin lady a little earlier, because at the very beginning, J.K. Simmons asks that woman who he's hiring to find the family, but boop, she is.
Right.
He asked her, "Do you know anything about acquired savant syndrome?" And I'm like, okay, savant syndrome. That's suddenly I'm really good at a bunch of at stuff, that's the idea. I'm painting broad brushstrokes, and then acquired means you weren't born with it. So what would happen, except for something traumatic to the brain? And maybe I only thought this because I've written a movie about brain injuries and how they affect the mind and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It was an interesting process, but so I was kind of like trying to piece that together from the beginning, and I was like, but he's not. I don't think acquired savant syndrome is the same thing that they said Ben Affleck's character had, but I couldn't remember for sure because I'm pretty sure he was like that from birth was the idea. So I don't know. But it there was plenty that you could just kind of like put it together yourself as you went along. But yeah, that 3/4 of the movie mark, like right before they reveal everything, you're like, I got this nailed. I know exactly what's going on.
The question was, what was the link to the fisherman that I was trying to figure out even when it got closer to the end of the film.
Yeah, and I think his thing about, she doesn't remember yet, and that's very early on in the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
so
she's lost her memory, acquired savant syndrome, and that was kind of how I put it together in that first part.
And then that's how Christian's support team at the Institute in Hartford helps out with that. And those scenes too are really cool. Like watching the Spectrum Forces, I like to call them. I don't mean it derogatorily by any means, but like these kids that are just like hacking away on computers that just have that special gift for that, and watching them decode things and things that even the FBI can't get into is just like, that's pretty cool. I like that.
And the interesting part, like, there's this whole scene where they hack into this woman's computer who took a selfie while the girl that they're looking for
that scene is
passing
awesome
by. And that scene is great, and it's actually not that far off from the kind of attacks that people actually do. They'll activate your webcam so they can see what you're doing, so they can know whether or not they can be on the computer. That's a completely valid attack vector, as the
so is that why
as the hacking community would
is that
say.
why people put Band-Aids on their cameras on their lap?
That's one of the reasons.
Because honestly, I don't care if you look at me like all I'm doing is typing away and looking at my screen. So
and I mean, like, if I have my computer open and you happen to see me get out of the shower, it's hurting you more than me. So, but I thought that was really cool how they're red light, green lighting their way through that, and you could totally, like, the printer vulnerability, especially the fact that they were able to print the test page, that is an actual real issue that back in, I want to say it was 2005 or 2006, millions of printers across the U.S. were hacked and all started printing big sheets of just black.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's this whole thing because printer security was thought not to be that important. Well, guess what, HP, you freaking idiots. God, I hate HP. They not sponsored, but if you want to give us money, we'll take it. But that was an actual attack vector that someone used to just like waste. I kid you not, millions of dollars of resources in office buildings across the U.S., which is insane. Yeah. And so I just really enjoyed that as someone who is interested in informational security, InfoSec. But yeah, all of that was really fun, and I love that I can never remember her name, but the girl who's in charge of all those kids.
Yeah, the one she was
the British voice to text lady.
Yeah,
text to voice.
I don't remember the character's name because I don't even know if it's the same woman that plays her in the second one that was in the first one.
Yeah, is that? She's not listed here at all.
Maybe she's like she's a high secondary character, I would think.
Yeah, she's not listed here, at least on Wikipedia. I know it's Wikipedia. I know.
Yeah, that's why it's not listed.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, unless it was Allison Robertson as Justine, but I don't know if Justine was that character.
I think that's it.
Or was that the girl that they met in the
in the hotel?
In the hotel. I forgot about that scene. I'm thinking back now. That was really funny.
Yeah. Well, Jon Berthal knocks him off the balcony, and
the best part about it was when they go and lean over, and Ben Affleck goes, "Is he alive?" And Jon Berthal goes, "Yeah, let me go get my stuff." That's just.
Well, the best is they throw him in the trunk of that car, and the other woman that they're teamed up with,
Meredith,
driving around with them, and then it's like daylight, and next thing you know, he's pounding on them. And they were like, "Oh, we forgot about him."
She backs up. She goes, "We have a problem." He goes, "Is it the man in your trunk?" "Yes, it is." And she's like, "Do something." She's like, "Get him out of there." He's like, "And do what with him?" Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's so much great stuff with that. But really, the highlight of this movie for me is just after they've gone through some of this stuff, the relational stuff between those two men as brothers, and it felt like such a natural conversation every time it was just the two of them. It felt so much like if I was just walking down the street and people watching, I could totally hear this happening.
And once again, the thing that you really like seeing in movies that definitely you got in this, especially toward the end of this, these scenes of family and connection.
Yeah, and I enjoyed seeing that they were able to come back together after these 8 long years of back and forth, and the thing that I couldn't figure out is Jon Bernthal said, "I spent 8 years looking for you," and then Ben Affleck says, "You had my number," and why didn't he just call?
But yeah, because there was the whole thing where Jon Berthal's yelling at him. It's like, well, why didn't you call?
Yeah, why didn't you come after me? You said you'd come find me soon. You said you'd come find me, and you never did. And I came looking for you, and he was like, "You had my number." I'm like, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And then he just asks,
it just shows the bluntness of autism.
Yeah, and you know what? I think we could use a little more of that because sometimes you people,
well, I get in trouble for that sometimes.
Well, are you on the spectrum then?
Jessica thinks so.
Well, that would explain some things.
I don't, but I exhibit characteristics of that apparently from what I've been told.
I think we all do, though. It's, in different ways to some extent, and the people who don't are lying. So I like the twist of this assassin being the woman who was missing from the very beginning,
right?
And it was very much, I just have one question. If she was Hispanic, how did she end up Asian?
The surgeries.
But why though?
She just had the Asian eyes. She still had the voice, the Hispanic voice.
She did, yes. But was she nailing that accent or not? I was so confused by what it was.
Well, because most of it they show her after the accident that she loses all her memory,
right?
In bandages, and there's a whole bunch of reconstructive surgeries.
Yeah.
So that's where I will chalk that up to, and I'm right, and leave me alone.
But okay, but I'm not crazy, right? Like I don't actually know what her real life.
She almost looks like
is,
Aquafina.
Yeah, a little bit. She's good in this. She's really. I think she's really solid. She was in Plane, which I don't know if you saw that one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so
I don't remember her from Plane though. To be honest,
I don't remember her very much in that, but I do remember Gerard Butler fighting a guy in an abandoned office space and it being absolutely brutal. It was a great scene. She was in Jurassic World Dominion. That was where I knew her from. I was trying to put it together. I really
don't remember her from that.
Yeah, she was in not the first Jurassic World, but the 2 after that.
Yeah, no, the one they had like everybody from the original.
Yeah, mm-hmm, yeah.
That was like 2 good scenes and a whole movie based around it.
Yeah, that one was real bad.
It's real bad. I really can't say that Jurassic World Dominion is a bad film. I just think they took like some 2 or 3 good scenes that they planned out and focused the whole film around that. A lot of it doesn't work. But I still liked it.
I had fun with it, but I also walked out going like, I really kind of felt like they were just working their way towards this one thing they wanted to do, and they didn't have a real good reason for any of it to happen.
Yeah, but I've seen worse.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've seen Borderlands. Hack. Anyway,
I love that that's rubbed off on you, Matt. That's awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, across the board though, like the fighting is really good. It's a good looking movie. I think that
this is probably the best thing that we've seen like Amazon MGM do.
Oh, absolutely. When it said Amazon at the end, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this was them.
Yeah, because it wasn't Red One.
This doesn't seem right.
Or The Working Man.
Did they buy it from someone else?
No, this was they did it in conjunction with Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers still had the logo at the beginning of the film.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But they did the majority of the distribution and everything for this.
Okay.
But so that's why it's considered Amazon MGM.
Okay. Yeah, it was Warner Brothers for the international release.
Right. Because even like there are some parts about this that are even close to like Working Man, but Working Man was just a train wreck in my opinion.
I'm glad I missed it. Honestly,
I'm not missing anything.
I don't ever have to see Michael Pena again. I've heard enough from him.
I still think the best thing he ever did was Observe and Report, the Seth Rogen, like the R-rated Paul Blart Mall Cop movie, because that movie's actually really funny, whereas Paul Blart is not.
Yeah.
And it got a sequel. I was like, people are really that desperate for entertainment that it spawned a sequel.
Children love Paul Blart. Fat man fall down, real funny laugh. Ha 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 ha.
You can come to the theater and see that any time for free.
Well,
with me.
We can't always be in your office.
Well, no, times I'll do that on the floor. Especially if I'm running around like trying to get card readers and do IT stuff that's way above my pay grade.
Do me a favor. If you're ever doing it while carrying a big bib and it explodes when you hit the ground, can you please send me that footage?
Well, my root beer exploded all over me today.
Did it really? Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the situation.
I went to QT and got breakfast this morning because I was running a little bit behind.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things like to drink is zero sugar A&W root beer. And I got one, and I got sidetracked, and I didn't get to drink it initially, and then opened up my office and
oh, no.
I was like,
This is completely off topic, but when people say I'm running a little behind, I always think of them running with a teeny tiny butt. I don't know why.
Well, that's definitely not me. Especially if you've seen.
Well, if you keep running, you might get a little behind.
Guys, seriously,
you know? So.
I can only hope.
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think if there was other stuff that was like worth talking about. I love Jon Bernthal like trying to work up the guts to go and just call a woman about picking up a dog and a corgi, no less.
Yeah.
I love the whole interaction where his brother tells him he's a cat person. He goes, no. And then at the end he gets the cat. And I just thought that there was a lot of character stuff that they were doing, and I love that they leaned into that because that's almost always more fun for me than, just the bang bang shoot 'em up stuff. Yeah, I love bang bang shoot 'em up.
Yeah,
but give me bang bang shoot 'em up with someone who I've laughed with and I care.
So that's a good summation for this film.
Yeah. Bang bang shoot 'em up. Hee hee kitty.
Yep.
God, we're good at this.
On to news.
All right. Well, if you had anything you wanted to discuss about The Accountant Squared, let us know. You can find us on our Instagram or Facebook at Grand Review Pod, and you can let us know what you thought. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, you can take the poll. Let us know what you thought. Good, bad, great, or terrible. Let us know about The Accountant, too. Yeah. All right, on to news. It's news time.
So the first thing is that how Star Wars Episode 3 made more than The Accountant did last night.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And it's actually like running neck and neck here at the theater.
That's not surprising. Star Wars Episode 3 is a lot of fun.
And I have it in a smaller theater than I was like...
That's crazy. You think maybe you'll flip them?
No, because it only runs for 6 days.
Well, yeah, but I just want to see it on the biggest screen.
No, because when you have...
What if I come in at 8 in the morning?
No, because I only have it on one projector.
Fair enough.
And to move it, like I could do it, but it'd be a pain.
Oh.
Well,
that's not my problem.
You're making it my problem.
Yeah, but I'm not making it my problem. That's why I'm okay with it.
Yeah, so the whole thing, like... If anybody out there, like in the Belton area, is mad because we're only playing it 7 days, that's not us. That was Disney.
Yeah, Disney.
They said that it was a 6-day run, and they did this purposely to run it right into Thunderbolts. Is my theory, because Thunderbolts starts next Thursday,
right?
And
yeah.
Star Wars has to be off. Like the last show has to be that Wednesday.
Because they're afraid that a movie they didn't make but acquired the rights to might make more money than the movie they did make.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? Thunderbolts looks good. I'm kind of actually
our film buyer saw it yesterday morning. He won't tell me.
He won't?
No.
That's funny.
I've asked him like 3 times. I'm like, and he won't. I was like, so either he really liked it and he won't tell me, or he really hated it and he won't tell me.
Schrodinger's film buyer.
I guess we'll find out next week because that's going to be our one for next week.
From the reviews that I've seen, say it's actually kind of a character piece, and that Florence Pugh is kind of the highlight of the whole movie.
Well, it should be. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, well, that, and she's also like she's an intense actress. Like she's really solid.
We Live in Time was like that too with Andrew Garfield.
Really, I still need to see that.
Yeah, it is on Max now.
Oh, good. Okay, I think I have that still.
That was worth seeing.
Okay, We Live in Time. You want to talk about Blade?
Sure.
So it was going to be set in the 1920s at one point. It was going to feature music from Flying Lotus. Are you familiar with Flying Lotus?
Not really.
Me either. Who are these people and why is this news?
I know Flying Lizards.
That is like 57% of the way to the same thing. So
Okay.
how are they? Are they good?
They're okay.
Okay, well, these people have to be at least 56 to 57%.
Well, no, that's
as
not
good
true.
as
They
that.
don't have to be good to actually get on a soundtrack. There's plenty of bands that are on soundtracks that are horrible.
That's true. We've heard Barbara Streisand sing.
Or
Got her.
I would just say that whole Jay-Z soundtrack to The Great Gatsby. Ugh.
I'm sorry, they did a Jay-Z soundtrack to The Great Gatsby?
Yeah, Baz Luhrmann, like another director that I don't like for the most part, like did that Leonardo DiCaprio Great Gatsby remake, and it all had this soundtrack from Jay-Z on it that I just thought was awful.
Baz Luhrmann is Australian, and he is proof that the sun down there does something weird to you.
In my opinion, he's only done 2 good movies. Like the first movie he did, Strictly Ballroom, is actually very entertaining and it's very good. And it's about ballroom dancing, which you would think would be kind of boring, and it's very character driven. It's a decent
And
film.
ballroom dancing is way more intense than
Right.
you would think. My God, I know some people who do it, and they are some of the most intense people I've ever met. And
The other one is Elvis.
oh yeah, you liked Elvis.
I did. I thought that one was pretty good.
What else did he do? Moulin Rouge? Was that
Yeah,
him?
I hate that movie. I got 20 minutes into that and I shut it off.
I hate that it's not pronounced the way it's spelled because it looks like Moulin Rouge. Anyway.
Well, that's like Jogerfolia doo-doo.
So there have been rumblings of Blade being set in the 1920s for a while now, and during a podcast interview with Robert Meyer Burnett, costume designer Ruth E. Carter, who worked with Ryan Coogler on his newly released movie Sinners, very good costuming.
Yes.
Round of applause for Ruth Carter.
There's part of me that really hopes that like makes some kind of recognition for the Academy next year, but it won't just because it was a horror film.
Yeah, but I think...
And they're very snobbish about that kind of stuff.
I think the fact that it's Ryan Coogler and it's a primarily black cast might give it a little bit more oomph, but
I don't think so.
But also, maybe everything else that comes out this year will suck and they won't have any choice. No, wait, it's the Academy. They'll do something stupid.
Well, I can't say that. I did like picking Anora for Best Picture. Yeah, I really did. And everybody that I've recommended that to so far has really liked it. Despite what it's about.
Yeah. Well, it looks interesting. I definitely...
It is.
Yeah. Where did you say it was streaming on now? It's,
Hulu.
Hulu. Okay, cool.
It is on Hulu.
I gotta check it out. I've been wanting to.
Yeah, it's good.
I have been getting my life in order to get back to work because I got sick a couple weeks ago or a month ago, but now, and it completely threw my life apart. And it was already a mess. I was a scatterbrained moron that my entire life, and then I got sick, and everything got 9 times worse.
So maybe you'll get me my Weird Al money.
Yeah. Oh crap! I will send that to you right after this. We're going to Weird Al. I'm so excited. Thank you again for your generosity and for not slapping me, which you should have done.
Not a problem.
But anyway, so Ruth Carter was talking about, move on from the money thing, forget about it. She said that she had been working on a 1920s set version of Blade before she got the job working on Sinners. So she said, I was prepping Blade for Marvel, and it was a 1920s Blade story. It got shut down because of the writer's strike and the actor's strike, so I was just in limbo, having done a lot of research for this period piece about a vampire. Blade is a vampire story.
Oh.
Ryan Coogler's wife, Zinzi, who also was a producer on Sinners, she gave me a call and said, I'm not going to tell you the story, but Ryan has a story, and he's going to tell you about it, and I can't do it justice like he can, so I'm not going to get into the details, but it is a period piece about vampires. And I thought, okay, I've already been living in that space for quite a long time prepping Blade, and Blade's not going to happen, so let me hear it.
I would love to have heard that pitch, like hear Ryan
too.
Coogler make that pitch on selling that film to Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
That really would have been an interesting, just being a fly on the wall.
Yeah, just to hear, like, how do you get someone on
How do
board
you
with
sell
this idea?
that?
Yeah, because it's kind of a weird, wonky thing, It's like, we're going to sell it on vampires, but it's really about music.
Right.
It's, it's like, well, I'm a monkey dressed in a suit eating my own dung. Explain to me how this will work.
You still need to see The Player at some point.
The Player?
Yeah.
I see him every
Altman
day
film.
when I look in the mirror.
Whatever. I'm sure Hannah will have a different opinion of that when I ask her.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. No, The Player.
But I live off of your pain, so I'm enjoying this.
Robert Altman film in the 90s. Tim Robbins is a studio executive, and it's all like an inside thing. There is a little bit of a story to it about how he kills a writer and gets away with it.
Oh.
But it's all like the insider on Hollywood and just how ridiculous people are.
So he kills a writer?
Yeah.
Does that
Who's
prove-
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh.
And it has like this huge cast. Most everybody plays themselves.
Oh, that's fun.
And yeah, it's a really cool movie.
How does he kill him?
He drowns him in like 3 inches of water in like a puddle.
I would not think Tim Robbins could overpower Vincent D'Onofrio. But this just does prove that although the pen may be mightier than the sword, the ink is diluted in water.
Yeah.
So I was just stretching there. I'm going to cut that joke out. I'm embarrassed. No, I probably won't. Flying Lotus, he shared his heartbreak on no longer being attached to Blade, saying, I guess we are so far from it even being a possibility now, but yeah, I was signed on to write music for the new Blade movie before it fell through. Maybe it'll come again, but I doubt it. Would have been fun, though. And I just want to say, Flying Lotus, if you will take some friendly advice, don't do this publicly if you still want them to bring you back.
Yeah. I still like how Spike Lee came out and really praised Sinners.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Like, and he gave a lot of like nods to Ryan Coogler and how it was made and everything. And it was really nice to actually see him not be a jerk for once. Because the last couple of years, he's not been good in the public eye and starting to redeem himself a little bit.
Yeah.
But the last couple of films he made too.
Well, I just generally think that no one's actions can redeem themselves, you know? So, like, people come out, they do stupid stuff, and I'm like, you're insufferable, and I don't listen to them ever again. But I do pray for their salvation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to meet him and just talk about, like, number one, how did he get Sinners made? And just how did he get some of those shots done?
Yeah.
You know, especially
with
the
an
one
IMAX
scene that
camera, nonetheless.
The one scene that I love in that film,
and I believe that was done on a Steadicam, which means not on a robotic arm. That camera operator went home that night and said, "Hello, yes, God, I'd like to order 1 new spine. Express delivery, please, because I've ruined mine." Because there's no way he didn't.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Yeah. And I also they shot that in 1 day. That's the insane part.
Really?
That would have been a multi-day shoot on so many sets, but 1 day they pulled that all off. That's crazy. That is just crazy. And the VFX on that movie, so good. So good. All right.
Yep.
Revenge of the Sith, 3 million plus at the Thursday box office, while The Accountants 2 solves for 2.5 million. So if you were wondering about the numbers, that's it. The epic runtime for Mission Impossible.
I was wondering if you were going to find... I knew this on Tuesday.
Yeah, you told me last night, and I just wanted to bring it up for people so they would know. Does this have a intermission? Do you know? Well...
No, it doesn't. It's not the Brutalist.
Buy 1 large soda... and then buy a second
catheter
large soda.
bag.
The second one, you put your catheter bag in. Yeah.
Well,
you beat me to it by that much.
The last one was 240.
Yeah.
Like Dead Reckoning, or as Drew likes to say, Dead Reckoning Part 1. And they keep telling him, Drew, they dropped the Part 1. And he's like, no, Dad, it's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. It's on the poster.
It is on the poster. It's also on the screen when it starts, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I knew it was, I had bets with a couple of people in our organization how long it was going to be. And I think I won.
Nice.
I'm cleaning up on Monday.
So the total runtime is going to be 2 hours and 49 minutes with credits, which means 2 hours and 40 minutes without credits, probably. Roundabouts.
See, the official thing that I got from Paramount was 170 minutes.
Oh, so 250.
250, yeah.
Well, I'm getting this news from Joe Blow News, who, as we can now say, officially is wrong. So I'm just going to throw the rest of this away. We can end the podcast here.
I got the thing directly from Paramount. So.
I trust you more.
Just like, that's been confirmed now. Final Destination Bloodlines has been confirmed. That has a runtime of 1 hour and 50.
Merciful.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be bad.
I think that's why it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because I think the Final Destination movies definitely are a little tongue-in-cheek sometimes.
Some more than others.
Yeah,
they've really... Especially when, like, the last one that was done some years ago was called The Final Destination because it was supposed to be the last one, and they kind of reneged on that. And
I'm endlessly fascinated by the fact that people keep going to these movies where the companies say this is the final one, and thinking that they're not going to come back and do it again, and then they're just playing you.
That's almost like bands that retire.
Right, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Ozzy Osbourne's going to come back from the dead, missing his head probably because to pay for the bat thing, but he's going to come back and do a farewell tour again.
Well, he's doing that. They're like, supposedly Black Sabbath is over and they're doing this massive one last show apparently in Birmingham.
Until they run out of cocaine money.
Right.
I don't know if they did cocaine specifically. It could be heroin. I don't know.
Well,
I didn't mean to offend.
The song they did, Snowblind, is about their cocaine
Is that
addiction.
not about a skiing accident?
No.
Dadgummit.
It's not.
I really have to start thinking more heavily about the stuff
I'm kind of waiting for that movie to be in development. That I will line up for that.
Oh, a Black Sabbath history?
Yeah.
I think you'd have to go to one of those theaters that doesn't exist in New York anymore to be able to see what they would have to put on screen and be like, and so this is technically what happened, but it's just a big blur the whole time.
We talked about it, I think, last time too, about the Beatles thing that Sam Mendes is behind.
four different movies telling the same story from
Coming
four
out all on
perspectives.
the same day.
That's stupid. That's stupid. What are they thinking?
Well, you know the studio that's behind that. It's not Lionsgate either.
Who is it?
Sony.
Ooh,
That was like their closing thing at CinemaCon too. Like that news.
I hope it's what closes their film studio at CinemaCon.
Sony is always teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. It seems like.
Yeah, it's like they do so well with PlayStation and with a lot of their consumer electronics that they can just kind of float this stuff.
Yeah, but then Garfield really did bomb. It did not do well.
Yeah.
Venom kind of resurrected a little bit because it does have a built-in following automatically, and it did okay. But then,
Craven was the best movie of the year last year.
It's on Netflix. I still need to see it. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
It's something.
I think trying to convince Jessica to watch that is like the biggest stumbling block. So she's going away for a conference next week, so I'll probably watch it then.
Yeah, that was a movie. Like, I know I talked it up the whole year, and there was stuff in there I was like, this could have been good. It could have been, but it just has that Sony, like...
Well, Madam Web, too.
Yeah.
So something I saw real briefly before I came in here about how that has now got more downloads or views on streaming than another Marvel film that was much more popular. I forget.
Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so according to Nielsen ratings, Madam Web has had more streams than Deadpool and Wolverine in their first 14 days.
Yeah, that was it. I think I'd rather watch Deadpool and Wolverine more than Madam Web.
Okay, this does say, though, it is important to note that Madam Web is on Netflix, Deadpool and Wolverine is on Disney Plus, which has a smaller subscriber base. So, there's that. But also, there is absolutely a culture of hate watching movies now.
That's true.
And just, popping open a brewski with the bros and laughing at how stupid something is, And we used to just do that by laughing at our friends, but now that's culturally inappropriate. So, because it's like, well, I have a glandular issue. It's like, no, you can just...
I remember I did that with Willy's Wonderland.
Oh, yeah.
Because I told Jessica, I said, you want to watch a bad movie? And I know it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, put it on. And I was like... I initially thought that Five Nights at Freddy's ripped off Willy's Wonderland until I found out, no, it's the other way around.
Yeah. And actually, the guy who made Five Nights at Freddy's, the original games, lives 10 minutes from here.
Yeah, he was supposed to come here and do
he was?
Signing opening weekend, and he never showed up.
Famously not a great guy, from what I've heard.
He's very reclusive from what I understand, but... the studio sent us a whole bunch of stuff for him to sign, and he never came in.
Well, at least you got free stuff.
Yeah, which I gave to all my employees.
And that's what it's all about, is giving things away. Just like we're giving away more news about the Superman movie.
Oh.
Do you like my segue?
Yeah.
I've been working on it. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to ride these segues right off a cliff.
I'm waiting for that runtime 3 hours long.
Did you know that the Segway, the guy who invented the Segway died in a Segway accident?
Yeah.
Irony.
The ultimate of ironies, yes.
How do you even go fast enough to die? I don't even remember exactly what happened, but I remember
More
that when I
like
said
poetic
segue.
justice.
Hey, you know what? We can make fun of the Segway all we want, but it gave us Weird Al's white and nerdy line. They see me roll on my Segway. I know they're thinking I'm too white and nerdy.
Funny cliff note for our audiences. That's Garrett's ringtone on my phone.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
That's fantastic.
Because I couldn't think of a better ringtone for you than that one.
I'm going to call you more now. Because I almost learned it in its entirety to rap to my wife at our wedding in front
I know.
of
You
my
said
guests.
that's not the reason why I picked it.
I'm going to do that to her someday. One of these anniversaries, like vow renewal, we'll do one of those, and I'll finally do it.
So, Superman.
So Mark Toberoff, he was claiming he has some rights to Superman in different territories. So he had sued them, saying that the studio was responsible for damages and injunctive relief for defendants' ongoing infringement in Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia, including multinational ownership rights. Meanwhile, U.S. District Judge Jesse Furman did not come to play, saying that Schuster's estate's infringement claims are brought explicitly under the laws of foreign countries, not the laws of the United States. The judgment arrived through a 13-page order on April 24th, so just yesterday. He says, the court concludes that it lacks subject matter jurisdiction over this case. The case, therefore, must be and is dismissed. Accordingly, the court needs not and does not address defendants' alternative argument that the case should be transferred to another federal district. Additionally, given the court's lack of jurisdiction, Perry's motion for a preliminary injunction must be and is denied as moot. And I just love that he ends it with moot. So basically, this guy Mark Toberoff, and it was one of the Schuster families. They were like, we have the rights in all these other places in Ireland and whatever, and the judge was like, "That's not America." And that was it. That's the end of it. So
now is the new one coming out this summer going to have like? Well, I would assume so. There's a worldwide distribution.
It does, yeah. And because this was dismissed, there's
nothing stopping it.
There's nothing stopping it. Yeah,
because I can't even imagine if like that July 11th release date got derailed.
No,
because then the studios would be scrambling to like find something to fill that void.
Yeah,
because like July for this year is probably the most solid lineup I've seen for films in like the last couple of years.
I was gonna say it feels like this is a bigger year than last year. Like last year, we were like, "What do we even do on this podcast?" And this year, it's like we're gonna be busy. We're gonna have to skip. Like we're gonna have to skip until dawn. Thank God.
To me, that's not really a
no. I was.
It looks so bad.
It was totally a joke. I'm not sad we missed it.
And not that many people are coming to see it either, which was not a shock.
Yeah. It's from the same director who did the Shazam movies, and he did Lights Out, which was Lights Out was based
Lights
on
Out was okay. That was one of the better PG-13 horror films I saw, but it wasn't like I can just say it's okay that I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I do like the guy though. Like I've watched his YouTube channel, Pony Smasher is what his YouTube channel name is, and he does break down like some of the stuff that they did behind the scenes and stuff. He does really give you a really good look into what it's like to go from a guy doing shorts on YouTube to blockbusters, because Lights Out was originally a short film he made in his house with his wife. Yeah, that was it, and that got a studio interested in saying, "Come do a full length version of this." He gets on, does that, then he does Annabelle 4 or whatever. I don't know.
One of the Annabelles.
And then he did something else, and that's when he did Shazam. Was after that third movie.
The first Shazam wasn't bad. The second one,
yeah, the second one was a mess. But I also think it was it was what they wanted to do with it could not happen because The Rock is The Rock. And they're like, Black Adam and Shazam, that's the movie. That's what we want to do. And he's like, no, I got to go spend $350 million doing nothing. See you in Red 1.
Black Adam was bad.
Yeah, also that, yeah.
The only good part to Black Adam is like the last part with when Superman shows up.
Yeah.
And but then that's the end of the film.
I never watched it. I didn't care. I really, for a long time, since The Tooth Fairy, I just have not been interested in anything The Rock did. The Tooth Fairy was funny when I was a kid.
No,
it became less funny as I became an adult. Give me some credit here. It was funny when I was a
all
child.
have, and that's what I've tried to explain to Drew, that we all have films like when you see as a little kid that you think are like the best films in the world. When you get older, you go back and watch them and go, oh my God, how bad was that movie?
Right. There are only some movies that will appeal to you as a child that will still be like, this is a transformative experience. You know, Star Wars Episode 3 for me was like a big moment when I was 9. And it's still, when I watch it now, I get teared up. And I love that battle on Mustafar. I love the special effects that they did. They built this whole thing and then got footage of real lava and mixed that with the footage of their fake lava that they made. I love that for its artistry.
Tron was that for me.
Yeah, Tron.
Because I saw that when I was 10.
Oh, yeah.
And just, that was groundbreaking. And I think I still have somewhere in my pile of garbage that I have at home. I have the original Newsweek where it talked about like, this is the beginning of computer animation and where like it was going at that time.
Because what year was that? It was
79, 80.
Yeah. And then just like 10 years later, 15 years later to get Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You know, which is another one of those that's evergreen. It's incredible when you're a kid, and it's
Stan
incredible
Winston's
when you're an adult.
effects on that are just like, they're still really cool.
So much of that movie is incredible. G-Force never gets old. It's this whole thing was just a run up for that.
Had to get that in there, did you?
Yeah, had to. Anyway, Superman's coming out. Worry not ye. The
July 11th.
The fake Jesus is here to save us all once again. Superman Returns. My mom
with crypto.
Yeah, with crypto. Also, apparently that dog is a real little turd in the movie, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first. I'm not going to stay on this for very long, but Marvel Comics and Marvel Studios, completely separate. Up until now, it's the first MCU comic with Fantastic Four first steps, and the art looks good.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
I'm actually, I get polarizing reactions from people when I say I'm excited for it, but I'm excited for this one.
I think it's going to be a good movie.
It definitely, like I said, the whole Atomic Family era thing really looks appealing to me, and I like that. I like that. That's where to go with that thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. There was just a guy walking down the hallway looking like Anakin Skywalker.
That's
and
cool.
At 6:30 on a Friday, that's an insane thing to be doing. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell behind the glowing yellow eyes. Which always annoys me. That's in the trailer. His eyes are yellow when he turns around and does that turn. It is not in the movie.
No.
Why?
Well, there's always stuff from the trailers that aren't in the film sometimes.
I know, but even as a child, I was mad when that shot was different. And
what do you want me to tell you? Go complain to George Lucas.
Well, I can't. He's not even around to do a special edition anymore. He sold it off. We could have gotten yellow eyes, and he could have added Jabba the Hutt to scenes he didn't need to be in.
I love the fact that he says that he never has to make another film ever.
Yeah, he doesn't. He got $4 billion.
Right.
I think he personally got $4 billion for the sale of this.
I still like the movie. There's a movie called Fanboys. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I think we pirated that when I was in high school. Yeah. It was like one of the first times I ever pirated.
And that movie got delayed, pushed around, because I think Weinstein Company was behind it. So therefore, that's why it got pushed around.
You think Weinstein pushed people around a little bit? I'd never heard that before.
But when I finally got to see that film, I was like, really? Normally films that have that happen to are bad movies.
Yeah.
That one was actually really funny, and it was a really good story.
Yeah, I think it's because the main characters in that it's just a group of guys, right?
Well, and Kristen Bell.
Oh, is she like in the main group though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because she's the only girl.
That's right. Okay. Because I was gonna say maybe it got pushed around because Harvey Weinstein wasn't able to harass enough people on set, and so he just didn't want to release it. But
it's got like the best cameo by William Shatner ever in a film.
Yes, yeah. William Shatner's part of that is great.
They're like, how'd you get all this stuff? I'm William Shatner. You gotta love it.
I still think his best role is as the Priceline negotiator because he's so ridiculous. But all right, so yeah, they're getting a comic. It's the first time the MCU and Marvel Comics have had anything to do with each other.
That is good cross marketing. I give them credit for that.
How have they gone this long without doing it?
Well, because a lot of them are already established where Fantastic Four is kind of reinventing itself again.
I guess
and
so, yeah.
maybe needs that little media push to help people sell on the story and everything that's coming out.
And maybe for a long time it was just like the movies are for a mainstream audience who aren't comic book readers. So if we try to expand on these
So
stories in the
this one
comic
is really
books.
for,
People would
like,
be
the
like, oh,
nerdy-
now I have to read. It's like it's a picture book, but still people won't want to do it. So Godzilla X Kong, Cross Kong, whatever you want to say, they're filming the sequel to that right now. Filming has kicked off. So if you like those big monkeys, oh boy, I got to tell you. There'd probably be one.
I'm sure we'll go see it.
Oh, absolutely. Like, these are dumb movies. They're so stupid. But when a monkey rips the spine out of something and then licks his fingers, like, delicious. It's.
We had
I
that
love it.
last one forever here. We couldn't get rid of that.
I know.
Because it was the closest thing we had to a kid film.
Right?
There was nothing else out.
Hey, remember when King Kong went down into the middle of the earth and then fought a redhead?
Yeah.
And he was bad because he was a redhead?
Yeah.
It's a little racist. Kevin Spacey's back. He's back, baby. Not in the Godzilla. He's in a movie called 1780. It's a trailer for a Revolutionary War thriller. Have you seen this trailer?
No,
Me neither.
I haven't.
But I just wanted to say Kevin Spacey's back. And look, the poster.
Is anybody taking him seriously?
I don't know.
I hate to say that because he's been in some very influential films for me.
He's in Baby Driver, and I love him in that.
Right. That.
And then there was that one where he gets turned into a dog or something. It was really bad.
That one I don't remember.
Hold on. Okay, while you talk about him, I'll
yeah, because there's and of course the usual suspects that he won the Academy Award for.
Oh yeah.
21. When I first saw that film, I didn't care for it as much. The more I've seen that over the years, the more I like it.
That's the card counting one, right?
Yeah, and it's based on a true story. That's probably why I like it a little bit more. And then House of Cards on Netflix. That at one point I really wanted to see that, and it's kind of got lost by the wayside.
Yeah. I like he's done a bunch of stuff that Horrible Bosses. He's great in Horrible Bosses.
Casino Jack. That's a smaller film that he did that I really liked too.
Oh, okay. It was 9 Lives that he was in. He doesn't get turned into a dog. He gets turned into a cat. And
that's even worse.
It has Jennifer Garner and Robbie Amell.
I
and Cheryl
remember that
Hines.
poster. Yeah.
And it's one of the most. I've not watched the movie. Full transparency, but I've watched people's review of the movie, and they
that
use
looks like
clips
something
from
that
it.
Drew would watch.
I want to send you the video of the person talking about this because it's a much more enjoyable experience than watching this movie.
The movie.
Yeah, if you just want to throw something on with Kevin Spacey for your son, that's a sentence no one should ever say anymore. 9 Lives is out there. I will say this: the cat on the poster does look like Kevin Spacey because his expression is mirthless and he does seem a little bit predatory.
It's no worse than the Michael Keaton Snowman one, Jack Frost.
Which I always confuse with the one where Jack Frost kills people.
Yeah, because there's a couple of those too.
Yeah,
there's more than one.
Those came out the same year, I think.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, what an insane thing to do. But yeah, Kevin Spacey's back in a movie called 1780, and essentially
look for it on streaming in about a week.
Yeah. But Brian Cox is fully supporting Kevin Spacey. I think he was acquitted of these things.
He was, but just because he's acquitted doesn't mean that he wins in the court of public opinion. I think people are still going to have a bad.
No, it worked for the juice. He's in the new Top Gun.
What are you talking?
Wait,
about?
not Top Gun. He's in the new Naked Gun. There's a gun in there.
Oh, the whole Nordberg shit?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
He came back, man. He came back strong.
I meant to put that trailer on the accountant because we got that too, and I didn't.
I would love to see Ben Affleck's character as a guest appearance in The Naked Gun. But yeah, Kevin Spacey, I'm going to quote him here. He says, I live in an industry in which there's a tremendous amount of conversation about redemption from a lot of people who are very serious people in very serious positions who believe in it. That guy who finally got out of prison who was wrongly accused. We see so many people saying, let's find a path for that person. Let's help that person rejoin society. But there's an odd situation if you are in the entertainment industry. You are not offered that kind of path. And I hope that the fear that people are experiencing will eventually subside and common sense will get back to the table.
So generally he's talking about himself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is not some altruistic viewpoint on the world. This is him going like, let me be frank. Remember that video he did, the Let Me Be Frank one?
Oh,
where
yeah.
he wanted to come back for House of Cards, and he does this thing as Frank, and it's like, no, we're still under an investigation for several assaults against young men, and I don't Like, the thing is, if you did it, everyone would have accepted you if you didn't do it in an assaulty way, but you did it in an assaulty way. So that's kind of what the problem is. I mean, sin is sin, but you did sin wrong. So that's it. So, yeah. Brian Cox is really on his. He's a fine actor. I like Kevin a lot. He's very funny. I think he's been through it. He's had the kicking that some people think he deserved. He's ready to get back in the saddle again, and people are trying to stop him from doing that. And I really do go back to let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Maybe he got too out of hand, but I don't think he should have been punished endlessly for it. And look, I don't know what he's saying by maybe he got too out of hand. If he was acquitted of things, how did he get out of hand? And if he shouldn't have been acquitted of things and he got out of hand, what did he do? And from what I remember, what he did was assault a young man who did not want to be assaulted. So
correct.
I don't think generally if it was Kevin Spacey and a young woman, there wouldn't even be a question.
Right.
But he's getting some sort of special protection in certain camps because, well, he's just struggling with his sexuality or whatever. I'm like, that's stupid. Assault is assault. Old. Also that. He should have figured this out a long time ago. It's Hollywood, baby. They've been gay forever. What is the argument here? He got out of hand, but it's okay. It's like, well, no, you don't do that. And then if you do that and you get caught, maybe go to jail.
Yeah.
That being said, very funny to watch him get beat up in Horrible Bosses. Love that. Rumor alert. Will a Predator appear in the Alien Romulus sequel?
Maybe.
That's the rumor. That's it. That's the whole thing. No, basically.
Well, you saw the Predator Badlands trailer drop this week, right?
I did, yes. Yeah. Looks very, very good.
Yeah.
Industry scooper Jeff Snyder apparently revealed on the Hot Mic podcast this week, I'm told that the script for Fede Alvarez's follow-up to Alien Romulus features a Predator. When his co-host John Rocha reacted to that, he reiterated, I hear there's a Predator in the Alias Romulus follow-up. They're doing it. Later in the podcast, he said, I don't know if Fede Alvarez's Alien Romulus sequel is an Alien versus Predator movie, or if it's just an Alien movie and then at the end a Predator comes in setting up an AVP movie. I don't know. How do you feel about another AVP? But directed by Fede Alvarez.
That I would be on board with.
I think so.
Because the first one I liked.
The first AVP?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you the story about how I saw that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But
I only have 6 stories.
The second one, Requiem, it was really bad. The story to that was awful.
That's the one where it
was just a gore fest.
Like a small town on Earth and the Predator's killing a pregnant woman who got impregnated by the aliens. Well, not impregnated, but she got... She got chest bursted, and so did her baby, because apparently the chest bursters can eject a smaller chest burster.
And then there's the one that gave autism a bad name, the Predator.
Now, why does the Predator not get a pass for the autism angle, but the accountant does? Just a question.
Because the accountant does it in a better light with better actors.
Oh, yeah. It also doesn't say that the Predator wants your spine because you're an autistic person, and that's the next step in evolution.
The kid that played an autistic kid in that film was just really horrible.
It wasn't Jacob Tremblay, was it?
I don't remember.
I can't remember either.
It doesn't matter.
Does not. That was a bad movie. Yeah. And also, Shane Black, I know legendarily, his dialogue is the thing that makes him, but if I had written that dialogue and taken it to a studio, I would have rightly been laughed out of the room. And also, not every character can be the comic relief character. Okay, it barely works in Marvel movies. Don't try and do it in The Predator.
So with Val Kilmer passing away too, Shane Black wrote and directed a film called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. If you haven't seen it, check that out. It's actually a really good movie.
I have heard people really love that, and it has been on the list for a while now. Yeah,
you should see that. It's pretty cool.
Did you see Greyhound?
Yeah, I did.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Do you want another one?
Sure.
Okay, you're getting it.
Okay, good.
Next news.
Does it still have Tom Hanks?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah. Apparently, it's him. They're gearing up for filming in the next year or so.
That proved that World War II film does not need to be over 2 hours. It's an hour and a half.
Nice.
It's short. It's to the point, and it's done.
Unlike World War II, which dragged on for too long.
They had 2 theaters. That's what they were called.
I know,
there was the
I know,
European
but
and the Pacific Theater.
I've never thought about it as like, this is the play. Oh, goodness. So Sydney Sweeney is going to be in a video game adaptation called Outrun with Michael Bay. And I think you brought this up last week. But now she's in conversations for another video game movie.
Yeah.
And it's actually a video game that I'm playing through right now with my wife on our YouTube channel, Play Along, which you can find on YouTube.
Shameless plug.
It's shameless because I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of my wife for doing so well in the game.
Okay.
Even though most of the episodes are me kind of just poking fun at her, and then she does something better than I did. So, but yeah, basically the idea behind Split Fiction is that you play as these two writers who go to this big publishing company who have this machine where they can let you like live your story. And so you can go into your story world. But what they're actually doing is extracting all of the ideas that you have to try and, just AI spit out stuff or whatever. Is the basic plot. But while they're in there, one of the girls tries to get away because she changes her mind about wanting to do this thing and ends up in the same pod with this other girl who is kind of the exact opposite of her character. And so they have to work together to solve all these puzzles and get through these places and find the glitches to break the whole system so they can get out.
She is really like the hardest working bad actress there is in Hollywood right now.
Hey, man, people like seeing pretty people, and Sydney Sweeney is a person that people like looking at.
I will have to say, though, I do want to see The Housemaid.
Because
the book is pretty, like I'm reading the book right now, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I want to see anymore. You know what I want to see? VeggieTales. I miss VeggieTales. Hey, at least I sound like less of a square on this episode. I had to get a little bit in there. Just one of those sharp corners that says, like, he's still squarish. I'm kind of a squirkle today, if you will.
A spork.
A spork.
You are a human spork.
That's actually a VeggieTales reference. I don't know if you know that, but
really?
Yeah, they did.
I never watched the VeggieTales.
Instead of Lord of the Rings, it's Lord of the Beans, and instead of orcs, it's sporks. They're being chased by sporks the whole time.
I just still remember the Toy Story, the Forky thing that was.
Oh yeah, no, this is way more fun than that.
Okay. Good.
But yeah, so Split Fiction, the game is not okay. Let me put it this way: the writing is sufficient for a fun co-op couch game, but it is not dialogue that I would say is passing in a movie. It's very on the nose and stuff. So hopefully they can do something better with that. They won't, but hopefully they can. And it's a very interesting idea. This whole thing of like being trapped in the things you've created to get your frustrations out and having to learn about yourself from that while trying to keep this company from stealing everything you've ever created that's been in your brain. Like that's a really interesting idea. More interesting in my mind than Transcendence, which is just, hello, I'm Jack Sparrow, and now I'm a computer.
Oh, I hate that movie.
Everyone did.
I really like, and at the time I was running a theater in Marble Falls. I was invited by the local radio station to come on Friday mornings and talk about the new movies and do trivia.
Yeah.
And I was very determined not to like bash any of the films that we played because that's really stupid of me to like, oh, well, this film really sucks. Don't come and see it.
Yeah.
And I try to find something, even if I didn't like a film, I would go, well, it's not for me, but, this is, if you're like this kind of film, you might like this or,
right.
So that's the one I went on the air that Friday morning that came out. And it was like the worst film that I ever seen that I stayed awake through. I couldn't even fall asleep.
Ooh.
And I just went and they're like, so, and I was like, this movie's awful. And I was like, it's just the biggest waste of time on the planet. Yeah. And like, I was not kind to that film at all when I just bashed it with a shovel.
Well, it absolutely would have been a hit to your reputation if you had said it was okay. So.
No, that film, like there's even better like bad Johnny Depp films than that. Or I always kind of like Delmon DeMarco. I always thought that film was really good. And
I don't even know what that is.
Him and Marlon Brando.
What?
Yeah, where Marlon Brando is his psychiatrist, and he goes into like Johnny Depp goes into a mental hospital thinking that he's Don Juan, the legendary lover, and kind of has this effect on everybody in this mental hospital. But when the end, so most of the film is Is he really like this incarnation of Dom 1, or does he really have some issues and you don't find that out until the end of the film? But it's really good
person who
movie.
would be most surprised in that whole experience, at either being a part of it or watching it, would be Marlon Brando, because he would just find out when he read the cue card.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right. So Ted Sarandos, our favorite Netflix
jerk
guy.
I know where you're going with this one. And I read this the other day.
The CEO was asked
You're
by
going to have to
Deadline.
edit this out. Jag off. Biggest.
I missed it. I blinked the wrong half.
So go ahead with the news story, and I'll try to keep myself in check.
I'm just going to keep my finger on the button. So the CEO... I can't believe I bleeped the wrong half. Oh, my gosh. According to Deadline, the CEO, Ted Sarandos, was asked if Netflix was destroying Hollywood, and he countered with, "No, we're saving Hollywood." He described the movie and TV streaming platform as a very consumer-focused company. We deliver the... He's biting his phone. I'm actually concerned he might break the screen. We deliver the program to you in a way you want to watch it. Pointing to the slew of underperforming films as of late, Sarandos asks, "What is the consumer trying to tell us?" To which he answers that they'd like to watch movies at home. Sarandos says that he, like a lot of people, was a fan of the movie-going experience, but he also feels like the gears look to be shifting. "I believe it's an outmoded idea for most people, not for everybody." Now, I'm gonna give you 3 seconds to just say any word you want, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. I don't think we're allowed to say that anymore.
It just undid everything that like they were doing at CinemaCon.
Yeah. And the thing is, he's wrong. The reason movies have been flopping is because there's been a lot of bad ones.
Right. There hasn't been...
Or not enough marketing to let people know.
It's not the marketing. The first quarter of this year, I really blame because, yeah, there was a whole bunch of films that came out, but none that people really wanted to come out to a theater to support. And I really do understand that because other than me and you that really do like going to a theater to see something, people are very picky about what they want to see and come support. And unfortunately, they all showed up for Minecraft, which is like the most intellectually devoid film of the century.
Hack.
I can't say it's a hack.
No, Jack Black.
Oh.
At this point.
He's just because he's done the same character for the last 5 movies. Yep. But you come out and say that, well, the movie-going experience is passé and it's not useful anymore. Bull.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me give you the full thing. You go ahead, say...
Bull.
There we go.
No, that's just that Hollywood really... And that was proven in CinemaCon. There is a great slate of films this year and next year that are coming out that are really going to drive people to the, and I don't say that just because I work in the industry and I run a theater, but even if I didn't, I would seriously like have to go back on Movie Pass,
right? Yeah,
to like have the money to go see all these films.
That doesn't exist anymore, right? That did shut
no,
down.
It actually came back.
It came back?
Yeah.
How? It lost billions.
No, there's a great documentary. I think it's on Netflix or one of the streaming services about that, and him like.
Okay, but can I see it in theater?
What no?
I wish.
But yeah, Movie Pass is actually like trying to make it. They're righting the wrongs that they did toward the end of that. It
was all over the place. I remember reporting on it when it was happening.
How I got into Movie Pass was one of the years I went to CinemaCon. It was on my pillow when I got back to my hotel room the one night and saying, "Hey, beta test this. We'd really appreciate your insight on this product," and gave me a website that I can go and report
everything. In your room,
they bribed a maid. I don't know.
Were they still in there? Do you think?
No.
Did you check before you got in the shower?
Yes.
Okay, good.
But I really like when it first started out, and it was the top tier that was $40 a month.
Yeah.
So how I looked at it was like, obviously there were the theater I was working at. We didn't get everything. It was my piggy bank, so to speak, to go see films that we weren't going to play at the theater that I worked at.
So you were essentially just budgeting for movies outside of...
Right.
Yeah.
And so that I thought it was a great thing, and I kept telling everybody about that like if you're really into movies as much as I am, which hardly anybody is, but it's a really good, like anything, just a budgeting tool.
Yeah.
To get to go see movies and go see what you want to see.
Yeah.
Where they went off the rails and went down the tubes is when they dropped it to $10 a month, and everybody flooded the market and flooded the system, and it crashed.
Yeah, because there's no way you can sustain that with. It was like a movie every week, right?
Right.
So like you're paying $10 a month for, in some places, what could be $60 worth of tickets.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're just gonna hemorrhage money.
So when I first got it, and when I first had the $40 plan, it was a movie a day, and you could even do like 3D large screen formats, like anything that you wanted to with that.
Diggity dog.
Yeah, and it was very easy to use. It was very user friendly, and like I said, when they dropped the price on it and thought they were going to get all these people, yeah, they did, and it crashed the system, and then it went to complete garbage.
Because unlike most, because like with a gym, their entire business model is we hope you'll forget you're paying about it and won't cancel because you feel guilty, and that's how gyms make their money. With this, it's like, hey, if you pay for this, you can go do something fun, and people are like, yes, I'll go do that.
Did you ever see the Friends episode where the guys tried to cancel and they bring out the hot chick?
Yes. Would have worked on me if I was single, man. I'm gonna tell you what.
Doesn't happen nowadays. When I try to cancel, like some woman goes, "What?
Yeah.
Why are you canceling? You look like you need to come to the gym more."
You're like, I have a glandular issue.
I'm big bone. Thank you.
Exactly.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. He doesn't jiggle. He crunches. But yeah, he says most people don't live anywhere near a movie theater, and then he goes on to explain the average Netflix member watches 7 movies a month, and The Office twice a month. Just kidding, that's not for him. Also, they don't have The Office anymore. But yeah, Ted, shut up. So I told you earlier I was going to drop my standards. Screenboat, the Killer Mickey Mouse movie, is coming to video on demand, DVD, and Blu-ray in May. So we're going to have to sit down and watch that.
That's going to be a double feature with that and Popeye the Slayer Man, because I know that's available on Apple right now.
Yeah, but are we still going to wait for the other 2 Popeyes? So we can do a marathon of all 3?
No, because Screenboat and that is like the perfect bad double feature.
Fair enough, yeah.
Too bad you don't drink. That's like a case of beer. Like,
can you imagine me without inhibitions? I mean, seriously, is that what you want?
Yeah.
No,
you
don't. It would be a bad time. I'd mostly just cry, probably.
Okay.
Because I'm a mess, as covered earlier.
That's all right.
Bryce Dallas Howard wants to bring back Mace Windu. I'd be okay with this. So Bryce Dallas Howard, if you didn't know, she's done directing on several episodes of The Mandalorian.
I didn't know that.
And I think she's actually a good director. Like she's done some stuff I really like on the TV.
Can't use Argyle as a good example, can we?
She was not directing that. That's not her fault. And also, I've had a crush on her since Spider-Man 3. So I really my whole view is skewed.
Why.
But yeah, she wants to bring Mace Windu back.
That was the only reason I watched it.
She did well in that movie, you know? It's just a dumb movie.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
It is, but anyway.
I do have good news, though. Aside from potentially seeing Mace Windu again, which I'd be totally fine with. Sure, bring him back. Why not?
Okay.
Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow is getting a 4K remastered Blu-ray release.
Nice.
And this movie is so universally hated, but I loved it as a kid just from an art standpoint.
Me and my dad like this movie, too.
I thought you were going to make fun of me for this, honestly.
No, actually, I like that film. I just think it was ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time, and it was mostly one guy who did most of it. Like there was a whole crew that worked on film and stuff, but the VFX and stuff, I think he did a good portion of it himself.
Yeah, and Jude Law and Angelina Jolie. Actually, it's not a bad. I liked it,
and it's like a really good look at, kind of a semi-updated version of one of those old serials you would have listened to on the radio. It's so inspired by that era.
See, Paramount had 2 big flops. Like, they had that, and another one that I really liked, too, with Billy Zane called The Phantom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was in the same vein, just like Sky Captain was. Yeah. And it's a great movie.
The problem is he's in purple tights, and that's really hard to take seriously.
Yeah, but that's how the comic book was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it's not comic accurate. I'm just saying the moment you put tights on people in real life, it does feel weird. But we did get the yellow and blue Wolverine costume, and that worked.
Yeah.
So maybe Billy Zane just wasn't hot enough for people, you know?
No, he had done some big films up to that point, and
I meant attractive enough.
oh, well, who knows?
Is he the male equivalent of a Bryce Dallas Howard level of attractiveness?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But anyway, there's going to be a 4K transfer from the 35 millimeter digital negative.
Nice.
Dolby HDR representation of the film.
Cool.
And audio commentary from the director, audio commentary from the producer, optional English subtitles for the main feature. Then there's going to be a 2-part look at the making of on disc 2, and then they'll have I don't know why it says new 4K transfer from the 35 millimeter digital negative on both disc 1 and disc 2, but I think I might buy this because this inspired my love of listening to old serials on XM radio with my granddad. I just loved that when I was a kid, and so I just have such fond memories of this, and it's such a different looking film from anything I've ever seen.
If you buy that too, we can hook up the Blu-ray player to a projector here and run that after hours.
I'm making a stupid happy face because it makes me happy. Did you see Ready or Not?
I did. I know that there's a sequel coming.
Yeah. Was it good?
First one? Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard people say it was good.
A decent horror film. Samara Weaving, I really like.
Mm-hmm. Hugo Weaving's daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And good story. Very tongue-in-cheek.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good, fun horror film.
Cool. I want to check that out because I've heard people really say, and I think that the sequel is adding Sarah Michelle Gellar, Elijah Wood, David Cronenberg, which is just okay.
Well, David Cronenberg does act in some. He's actually in Jason X.
Is he really?
Yeah, that's horrible that I know that.
Well, we all make mistakes. That's pretty much it. That's all the news I have. So, what now?
Elijah wouldn't do anything anymore.
I love that he just does weird stuff. Like him and Daniel Radcliffe, both after they got out of their respective franchises, were like, we're just going to do weird stuff people wouldn't expect from us, like show up randomly in the Monkey for 5 minutes and steal someone's man juice.
Well,
what do you call it?
Elijah Wood, I think, is in Toxic Avenger coming out.
That's right. Yeah, he's the main villain. He kind of looks like the Penguin. Yeah.
And I know Daniel Radcliffe actually, outside of Harry Potter, did some interesting films that I did like. Swiss Army Man was one of them with Paul Dano.
Yeah, people love Swiss Army Man.
It's an interesting concept if you haven't seen it.
Have you seen Guns Akimbo?
No.
I haven't either. I keep wanting to go and check it out, but I'm also just like, it just looks like mid-tier kind of nothing burger.
Horns was another one that Daniel Radcliffe did that was pretty cool.
Hortons?
Horns.
That's right. I was
that one's actually pretty good.
Do you mean the coffee place in Canada? Horns. And then he did a movie that is alternatively either titled The F Word or What If, I think is the other title of this.
What If?
Yeah. So it's a...
That's Zoe Kazan's in that. Yeah.
It's a pretty neat little romantic comedy.
I've seen that.
And I really enjoyed it when I watched it. I was like, this is kind of fun.
If you like that, Zoe Kazan did a film too with Paul Dano that I really like called Ruby Sparks, where he creates a girlfriend by typing or making her on his typewriter. Everything that she does, he controls by typing up pages of his new book.
Does that work?
It
Just kidding. I'm kidding. Women deserve their autonomy, and that was totally a joke.
It's an interesting movie.
Adam Driver's in the F Word as well. What If? I think it was called the F Word everywhere but here in America.
Because that's I remember Free Willy couldn't be called Free Willy in England because of laws against that. It was in Europe. It was marketed as the Whale.
Why didn't they come up with something better?
That's
just the whale. Not even the killer whale or Black Beauty. Well, no,
or even not a great example, but an example nonetheless. Jean-Claude Van Damme movies Lionheart. In Europe, it was called AWOL, which was actually a better title for that
I think
film.
that's better.
Yeah, because that's actually what it was. But
Hot Tub Time Machine in other markets was called Go! ! With bath.
yeah, because I guess they couldn't go because there was a movie called Go. That Doug Liman did. The Vegas sequence on that too that's a great movie, centered around a rave and all the different characters and stories that the rave is the center of that. Mm-hmm. So it's not really like glorifying rave culture. It's all these, and Katie Holmes is in that. Timothy Oliphant, and actually some really decent actors and actresses in that too.
Okay.
Taye Diggs is in that.
But do they go with bath or without bath?
Without.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well.
So I guess that's dropping us off.
I guess. Well, let's just hit one more little.
Oh boy.
The Die Hard movies have kind of the worst renames in other parts of the world.
Okay.
So Die Hard in Germany was originally called Die Slowly. In Greece, it was Very Hard to Die. Norway, it was called Action Skyscraper. Poland, it was called The Glass Trap. And then in Die Hard 2, Die Harder, in Spain was called The Jungle 2, Red Alert.
That doesn't even make sense.
I have no idea, but I don't know if that's as out there as Denmark calling Die Hard with a Vengeance Die Hard Mega Hard.
This sounds like a porn.
It does. And then Live Free or Die Hard in Hungary was called Die Hard 4.0, the most expensive day of your life. What? And then Good Day to Die Hard was called Tough Nut to Crack, a great day to die in Lithuania.
Does the studio have influence on that? Or who comes up with that?
I don't know, but also, it's like with Google Translate, you translate something out of English into Spanish and then back into English, and it comes back all weird. I'm guessing it's probably kind of like that,
something like that.
Because we have certain connotations for certain words that they might have differently. But you know what?
Yeah.
There is no different connotation for giving us a 5-star review. The connotation is give it 5 stars. And that's the best way you can help us, kind of share the podcast around if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, well, you're ugly. And so we... I'm just going hard this week.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Absolutely. Even if it's wrong.
Ours is the only right one.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you have a blessed week.
Yep.
And I guess that means there's only one thing left to say, Andy, and that is we'll see you at the movies. Bye, everybody.
Take care, y'all.